If you're ever injured in a car accident and it's not your fault, you're going to find yourself in one of three situations. 1, the person that hit you has enough insurance to cover all the damage. 2, you drew the short straw and you were hit by the 1 in 8 drivers who has no insurance at all. That's right, 1 in 8 drivers on the road have no insurance. Or 3, you were hit by somebody who has insurance, they just don't have enough to cover the cost of the medical bills, lost wages, pain and suffering, etc. So luckily this isn't Pan Am or the Hunger Games, and the odds do not have to be in our favor, because there are coverages designed and available to cover you and your family if you find yourself in situation 2 or 3. These coverages are called uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage. And you don't need a Rosetta Stone to figure out what these mean. So uninsured motorist coverage is there if somebody hits you and they have no insurance at all. Underinsured motorist coverage is there if the person that hits you has insurance, they just don't have enough to cover all the costs. So these two coverages are subject to what I refer to as the Twix Rule. And that is like the old commercials back in the day. I'm referring to the candy. 2 for me, none for you. Well, that doesn't fly here. The states won't allow it. We cannot purchase more insurance for ourselves and our family than we purchase for other people. So in other words, your uninsured and underinsured motorist cannot exceed your bodily injury liability. However, you can stack these. And the best way to explain this is through an example. So if you have 3 vehicles on your policy and they have $50,000 per person and $100,000 per accident of uninsured motorist coverage, and then you are struck and injured by somebody who doesn't have any insurance, if you have this coverage and it's unstacked, you would have, just as your policy states, the $50,000 per person, $100,000 per accident. But if you have stacked coverage, you would add these 3 cars together, so you could have up to $150,000 per person and $300,000 per accident. Quite simply, you would take the number of cars that you have and multiply that by the coverage. So that is uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage in a nutshell. And it seems pretty simple, but different states have regulations and rules around this that vary widely. In some it's required, in others it's optional. In some states it's sold as a package deal, in other states they're completely separate. And this one's important. In some states the coverage will extend to property damage, so if the person destroys your vehicle and doesn't have enough. And in some states, like Pennsylvania, your collision would have to be there in order to cover you for that. So you do want to talk to your local rep to get the details, but at least you have a basic understanding now of what this coverage does. There is other coverage on your policy for you and your family, and this coverage will follow you no matter where you go. Whether you're in a friend's car, whether you are a pedestrian on the road, and that coverage I'm going to talk about a little bit later this week in another video. But for now, I hope this gave you a better understanding of uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage and how it takes care of you and your family. Thank you so much for watching.